Hello and welcome. This is Radull Live. Thanks for joining us. I do need to remember to say happy birthday to Betika. Betika turned 6 a couple of weeks ago, and to celebrate, we at Betika are giving away £1,000,000 every day from Monday through Saturday for 6 weeks. Yes, 36 days of celebration and 36 million shillings to be won. All you need to do is go to the Betika social media handles at 6 a.m. in the morning and you will find out how you could be a lucky winner. That's 6 weeks of Betika. And make sure you bet responsibly, and betting strictly for people over the age of 18 years. Now, joining me today is a Mayouth. I like talking to the Mayouths because it shows that there is hope. I am joined by Lorence Ishuga. Lorence, habari yako?
Salama sana.
By the way, you guys are the future. Us guys, we're just here to talk about our experiences in life, but the youth are the future. So I like to see when young people are involved in sport. You are a rugby referee, but I want to set the stage of who you are and how you came to be a rugby referee. So give us a bit about your background in rugby.
Yeah, so I started off in 2011 as a player, of course, through Nakuru rugby age grade programs. Later on joined secondary school, still doing a little bit of rugby, and then in Form 3, that's when I transitioned slightly to be a match official. But also at some point I went back to playing, managed to play for Nakuru Fast 15s a couple of seasons, and also the KU rugby team a season also.
You're talking about a couple of seasons and you're only 20 years old. In fact, that means that 2011 you were 9.
Yeah, 9 years.
So you started rugby at a really young age.
Yeah, quite relatively young age, but that's all because of Nakuru rugby. They've got very nice age grade programs going on. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I wish all our sports had age grade programs, because I think where we get it wrong in sport is that we bump into a talent after high school. But the fact that at 9 years old you knew already that you wanted to do something professional in rugby, that's very important for your career, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, through such development programs, players get to understand the game properly. I was also lucky enough to be coached by Sevens legend Gibson Weru, who's a Menenga Oilers. Yeah.
I know Gibson.
Yeah. So
fantastic coach.
Yeah. So when you get such caliber of coaches coaching juniors, then really you know we're on the right track.
Now, what made you decide that you wanted to be a referee as opposed to a player? Because everybody wants to play. It's like referee is something you do either if you're unable to play at the most professional level, or when you're retiring from active play.
Yeah, so mine isn't always, has never been quite a rosy story. So if you know Felix Olo, who's was a former Kenya Leones coaches, when I was still in Form 3, of course, gave me an opportunity to ref one of the rugby circuits for the age grade programs. And so from there, that's how I got actually into refereeing, but at some point I also shifted back to playing. But since then, I fell in love with the whistle, and that's my story.
You got the refereeing bug, as they say.
Yeah.
I'm reading here that you refereed your first professional rugby game at the age of 16 during Prinsloo. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And Prinsloo is a major tournament in Kenya.
Yeah. So it was all an opportunity I was given, and then I grabbed it with both arms.
Do you have to be professionally trained to be a referee? Because I'm assuming at 16, you're probably drawing on the experience as a player.
Yeah, but before then, I also had to sit down for a couple of some classes. And also there are some trainings that normally go on the World Rugby. It's a website where training for match officials, or let me just put it, all sports stakeholders within the game, that's where training normally happens. Yeah, so before then I actually had to get some little bit of knowledge here and there.
And you are a student at Kenyatta University?
Yeah, a third-year student pursuing a B.Ed in Physical Education and Sports.
So you've decided sport is what I want to do professionally?
Yeah, that's the career path I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, but I think that's fantastic because what we're missing in this country are people who consciously decide that sport is the career I'm taking, not a side hustle. I'm studying to be an accountant, but sport is what I'll do on the side.
And I think that's where I think most of the federations and unions go wrong, because you have guys, yes, you're probably a good player, a good coach, good what, but you're not trained properly how to handle sports issues. You know, sports management is an entire thing on its
It's a profession.
own. Yep. So I think that's where a number of times we go wrong.
Because we like to blame the government, we blame everybody, we blame how sports is managed. But if you look at the people actually managing our sports, that's not what they focused on in university.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
And I think, literally you can't, same way you haven't studied to be an accountant, and then you're going to do some accountancy job, then definitely you'll expect at some point.
beep.
Yeah. Yeah, but now when you get guys who've studied sports properly, they know actually the 360 degrees of what sports really entails, then how our sports will actually run properly.
When you look at, we'll get to your book. This guy has even authored a book. We'll get to your book a bit later on. When you look at our Kenya Sevens at the moment, and I'm saying because they're a topic of discussion, we've gone through 2 recent legs in the international circuit, just managed to qualify for the World Cup. What are your views on how the team is, I want to say developing, but it's more not developing? What are your views on that? What are we getting wrong? Because we're not necessarily excelling like we used to.
Yeah, for me, as probably a sports profession, I'd want to think probably there's some issues within the management and some of the players. Because what we're seeing, the players who are quite performing well, who are with the Simbas now, as opposed to being with the Sevens team. So probably you may really want to think probably there's some issues within the players and management. And also, generally, in Kenya, we lack proper talent identification and development pathways for our players, of which now when we're competing with countries like South Africa, Fiji, England, where things are really proper there, then we can be on the same table.
We lack systems. I know that's, you're trying to politely say it. I don't have to be polite. We lack certain systems in how to scout and develop the talent. And there's been a lot of talk for so many years that rugby has its owners, in quotes. You know, there are people whose names will always be on the team sheet regardless of their current performance. And the areas of the country where scouting has never been done, where it should be done.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly as you've said, it boils down to how our systems really work. Yeah, because I think when you're probably selecting players, you need to have some certain metrics, some certain parameters that you're looking, probably if it's kicking, this how he's performing. That's why we're selecting him, of which in Kenya, like in the current Kenya Sevens setup, I don't think they have probably someone like a sports scientist or high performance consultant who can really now get into the bits of rugby properly.
We're not really professionalizing our sport. I want to get into this book and I want you to hold it. Tell us about this book and what made you decide. I want you to hold it up like this. What made you to decide that you want to write a book? What information was lacking?
Yeah, so the book is titled The Whistle, Redefining a Kenyan Referee. So I actually wrote it during the entire COVID period because 1 year without no school, no sports at all. Really, that's huge time just to go on a waste.
I love this guy.
Yeah, so I started off, but really doing more of sports articles and sports blogs a couple of times. And then, You know, with sports articles, you can really focus on just a small bit of what really...
Of an issue.
Yeah, of an issue. But now I thought if I do a book, I can be more elaborative, and it's the first one, of course, of its kind in the country. I haven't come across any. Yeah.
So what are the key issues in the book that you feel aspiring or existing referees should know?
Yeah, so first and foremost, the number of chapters, it's 8 chapters. Yeah, so one, talking, if you can put in 3 categories, we're looking at how referees themselves can improve their craft. 2, we're looking at how federations and unions, or rather their roles into improving the refereeing environment in the country. And 3, we're looking at now guys like media, we're looking at fans, at how probably they can make other potential match officials to join into the game or make them shy away from joining the game.
What are, just to get into the nitty gritty a bit, what are some of the things our referees are not doing right? Or can do more of?
Yeah, so first, in Kenya, as we've said, we lack proper systems. And if the unions, federations are not running properly, say that's really what trickles down into the sports officiating bodies. One, you'll realize majority of referees never train, of which now we're playing full play. Players, they're normally in the pitch at least thrice a week, and that one you're not putting semi-professional clubs in Kenya. So majority of referees really never train. So that's one, of which when it's on a match day, some players are really warmed up properly for the game. Their fitness levels, of course, are higher than the referee. And in rugby and also other sports, the referee really needs to be fit at least more than players. Yeah. So you'll get in the first 10, 20 minutes, the referee is warming up, yet players are really into the game. And so the decision making, of course, it's likely to be not so well. So that's one.
Because if you can't see every move of the game, you can't make a ruling on it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, second,
I think you can put the book back there.
Okay, yeah, fine. So when you're looking at the talent identification and development pathways in Kenya, there's some gaps to be filled, of course. In Kenya, we wait until probably someone, as you've said, they've retired, or rather they got an injury, and that's when you actually...
It's a fallback plan.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're looking at, if you want to really benchmark ourselves with countries which perform well, let me just give an example of South Africa. They've got referees as young as 18 going to ref Dubai Sevens. Wow. You see, but in Kenya, I haven't had such a story. And through, of course, when you get experience, that's how you become more better in your game. And that's probably one problem that we still have in our officiating organizations in Kenya.
What more can the governing federation do? And I'm asking this because I had a conversation the other day with a football coach, and he was complaining that, oh, the referees are being compromised, there's match fixing, because and in this case, he was saying that the FKF caretaker committee is delaying payment for referees. So when referees go for certain games, if anybody gives them a shilling or anybody pays their transport or buys them lunch, we're going to see incidences of match fixing. And it didn't just start yesterday. A couple of years ago, the second tier National Super League, I'm talking about football because that's where I know a lot of. In the National Super League, we had the same challenges. Referees were not getting paid, so whoever pays them, the game swings in their favor.
Yeah. It's a critical issue you're talking about. And when I was writing the book, I really read a lot of research materials to do on how you can actually keep more referees into the game. And one was actually increasing their psychic income, or just put it quote unquote their allowances. Yeah, and so in Kenya, football, I'll go into that direction. I know a couple. Yeah.
You're also a football fan?
Yeah, but not for Arsenal, of course. Yeah, so when you're not giving the referees their allowances, you're not remitting them in proper time, what really happens, the referee cannot travel while they're on a
meet their costs.
Yeah. So they're really doing much, rather they're sponsoring the game now, you see? And what really happens if, probably say, the ref is a campus student, like myself, you have no source of income, yet you're probably supposed to travel even out of your county. See, now when either of the team actually tells you you're going to do this and this, you're more likely to swing the game into their favor, because you have no fallback plan. Yes, you want to do the game, but money is now becoming a stumbling block.
At the end of the day, you have your costs. I mean, I don't excuse corruption at any level, but at the end of the day, you have your costs, you have your bills.
Yeah, sharp. Yeah. So that's really one area that needs to be fixed. And on that matter, we're not just talking about football. At one point, there was also something similar to that in rugby. Some refs went on a strike because their allowances for an entire season were not remitted. I was also speaking to a boxing judge 2 weeks ago. That's the same story that they are having. So yeah, it really cuts across all sports.
Technically, do we have the technical ability?
Yeah, I think so. We have. I think Kenyans, we are sharp, we are creative. Yeah, and on matter to do with thinking, that's not really a problem. We can all learn.
Not just thinking, but the actual access to technical know-how.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you look at it, probably I give you an example of the football refs who were reffing World Cup. The assistant referee, Geoffrey Cheriot and Kamaku. Yeah, you see, if given the chance, we're able to scale the heights to the top levels where we can. So for Olympics, that's the pinnacle of any sport. So I think, yeah, we are there in terms of our technical knowledge.
I want us to take a break, Lorence. When we come back, I want to know about your personal aspirations in the world of rugby, both playing and refereeing, and of course, what you think we could do more of as officials, as media, as government to improve the situation. So don't go anywhere, we'll be back in a bit.
It's Betika's 6th anniversary. Hatupigi sherehe siku moja tu au siku 6 pekee. Tunapiga sherehe for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of sherehe. 6 weeks of Betika. Na tunapeana 6 mili kila wiki. 6 million kila wiki. Kabisa. Mili kila siku kutoka Monday hadi Sato. Check out our social media pages every day at 6 a.m. to find out how you can win and join the celebrations. Celebration starts on Monday 18th April and goes on till the end of the season. Betika, jukwaa la mabingwa.
This is Radull Live. Welcome back. And I'm here with Lorence, but we'll get back to the conversation just now. A reminder to go to betika.com or log into your Betika app at 6 a.m. every morning, because we are celebrating 36 days we have 36 days of celebration with Betika. Betika just turned 6 a couple of weeks ago, so we are giving away 6 times 6 million shillings. That's 36 million shillings in 6 weeks. That's 1 million shillings every day from Monday through Saturday, just to celebrate turning 6. So go to betika.com and celebrate 6 weeks with Betika. So I'm here with Lorence Ishuga, yes, a Kenyan referee. He's just 20 years old, still a student at Kenyatta University, and he has written this book, which we have referred to already, Redefining a Kenyan Referee, The Whistle, Redefining a Kenyan Referee. By the way, I like the graphic.
It's
Red, yellow card, and a whistle.
yeah.
Nice and simple. Your forward was done by Paul Odera.
Oh yeah, so
Paul is an icon.
Yeah, probably some history I forgot to mention. Also happened to be part of the national under-20 squad, so that's where, of course, we met with Paul.
Paul Odera, because he used to be the youth coach. Now he's the head coach for 15s.
For 15s, yeah.
Finally.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Paul is our head coach. He's our... Okay, you guys only know.
Simba's.
He's our Simba's is our national 15s team. He's the
Yeah.
Simba's head coach right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got him to do your forward.
Yeah, a nice guy he is.
He's a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
Very highly trained
Yep.
as a Kenyan coach.
Yeah. And actually, when you're looking at him, you can really see how his systems operate as opposed to probably the previous coaches we've had in Kenya. Because he's more into... He's also looking at the science of sports, of which in the country we've really neglected it for quite
Paul, if I'm not wrong,
moment.
is our most highly trained rugby coach in the country.
Yeah, they're actually 3 now.
They're 3
but he was
trained,
the
but
first one in Kenya to have it's the
proper
level
qualifications.
3. Exactly.
You know, not just I played the game, now I can coach the game.
Yeah.
What are your personal aspirations?
Yes, for me, a long-term goal will actually be to probably someday to be at the Olympics as a match official, but that's definitely long-term. But for short-term, I'm looking forward to scale the heights in officiating in Kenya and also regionally.
So you'd like to officiate at the Kenya Cup League or the 7 circuit?
Yeah, so actually a short-term plan, because the 7th circuit is just starting off in a couple of weeks' time. So I've never officiated in the Division 1 category, so I'm looking forward to get into that.
Are you seeing it on the horizon? Have you made your moves?
Yeah, I think I'm making some at the moment, and I hope it will bear fruits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the international 7th circuit?
Yeah, that's also something I really yearn to do, because I also enjoy refereeing 7s more than 15s, because the game is a little bit fast-paced as opposed to 15s.
My youth, you're impatient.
Yeah. Yeah, so also that's a goal I'd really want to tick. Yeah.
And then, of course, the Olympics, which is the ultimate.
Yeah, that's the pinnacle of any sport, of course.
What more can we do to support you in your career and to support other youth taking up refereeing professionally?
Yeah, so if I look at it from a media angle, of course, you'll realize that less attention has really been paid to probably just doing coverage of match officials. Also looking at also not just the visual media but also the print media. Less attention has really been given to that channel. And what really happens, or rather how do we get young match officials to join in the game? See, when they see a story of probably an 18-year-old match official, a 20-year-old match official, then they realize, okay, it's something that can be done.
Yes.
Yeah, because you see in Kenya, actually, okay, it's arguable. Many refs are probably within the age bracket of 30 and 40. And as a potential match official, they will be saying, I think that thing is only for old guys, guys who've retired. So that's where they go. But
so nobody, other youth don't aspire to be referees.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there are no role models.
Yeah, we lack some, but really they're not. Let's not put it. They're no role models. It's only that the stories of the role models are not well highlighted. Yep.
Guilty. Might as well have told you, Radull. Yeah, but I think what you're doing is fantastic. So that's what the media can do.
Yeah, exactly.
What can the government do, and what can the rugby union do?
Yeah, so actually more partnerships really need to be done. And we're looking at really benchmarking ourselves with nations which are well performing. So we need more exchange programs with among probably African nations, other European nations, because that's where really top cream of match officials come from. We also need to treat our referees so human. You see, a story of referee abuse is something that has been neglected in the country, and it's really making many referees to shy away from taking place in the game. So that's something really the federations need to cut. The fans who are normally throwing all kind of insults to the match officials.
Those bad
for football, in fact, no, that's a bad culture. Because I remember in 2019 there was a ref actually who was killed. Yeah.
In Kenya?
Yeah, in Kenya. Yeah. And we've also had, in my book, also talk about match officials being assaulted. That's really a case in Gor Mahia and FC Leopards matches. We know games really never end well, and it's always because of referee wasn't
referees are bullied. There was this incident, I think, was it 2-3 weeks ago? In
oh,
rugby,
yeah, exactly.
Those, I think they were brothers. They've now been banned from the game.
Yeah.
For assaulting a referee.
Yeah. So we really need to take staunch measures against referee abuse that you can mitigate such an occurrence in the near future.
And in terms of the infrastructure, which is usually a government responsibility?
For sports, I think even before we develop match officials, we need first for players. Yeah, because it's actually the players who are going to give the coaches and match officials the job.
Again.
To be, yeah, actually. They're the prime owners of the game. But yeah, we need to develop our resources. If you look at probably Stellenbosch, that's in South Africa, yeah, if you can really manage to have such a facility in Kenya. I know in KU I study, at least there's a human performance lab where some fitness tests which can be done to ascertain the level of fitness that match officials probably have. So those are really resources we need to tap into.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned South Africa. I remember being there in, I think it was 2009. They took journalists on a trip around to see the World Cup stadiums so that we could promote it before the World Cup. Yeah. And every school has a world-class school. Every school has a world-class rugby facility. Okay. Yeah. Every town has a world-class rugby stadium. In fact, I remember in Durban, rugby and football were actually sharing a national stadium. I think it's called, I've forgotten what it's called. But they built the World Cup football stadium next to the rugby stadium. The rugby stadium was one that was being used for football. So they actually take rugby seriously. So it's not a surprise when you see how well South Africa does. Yeah, actually, when you have better resources, of course, that's what's going to be reflected in the performance, and that's what we're seeing now. Because a nice facility invites the fans to feel comfortable, which then invites the money, the corporates.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we need to fuel the game in a proper direction.
So that you can get paid.
Yeah, of course.
How does your family feel about this choice of career?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough. I get support from my mother and sisters. Yeah, they're always happy with the achievements that I'm making, with the games that I'm doing, of course. Yeah, I receive a lot of support
Yeah,
from
but
them.
they want to see the money coming home at some point.
Yeah, some point, hopefully.
Because a lot of athletes I've interviewed here, they're like, my parents support what I do, but the fact that it doesn't bring in my bread and butter currently, it's a challenge because it means you have to go back and tell mom, I need this, I need this.
Yeah, at some point, that's what we really need to reshape in terms of sports in Kenya. Yeah, we actually need to shape it that sports is actually a career on its own. More people can get quite some good income in it. Because you see, actually, in other countries, they have professional referees. But in Kenya...
Who are well paid.
Yeah, who are actually well paid. But in Kenya, that's not really the case. You have to juggle between your work and...
your real job, in quotes.
Yeah, your real job and now officiating, of which at times it doesn't cut well properly.
And your book, how are the sales and marketing going? Amabado. When was it published? When did it come out?
On March, 5th March. That's when I launched it.
Like a month ago?
Yeah, just a month ago. So yeah, it's quite a rewarding and challenging experience. I'll put it that way. Still trying to reach out to federations, the National Olympics Committee, and see, and the number of bookshops to see probably if they can purchase.
If somebody wants to buy a copy now, where can they get one?
Yeah, so online it's on Nuria bookstores. So if you just order it there, they can actually deliver it to you.
Okay, you'll leave the details with us so that we can also share and see if we can get. Is this my copy? Can I buy it? I'll buy it. I don't want it free.
Yeah.
How much are you selling it for?
Yeah, so it's retailing at 500 shillings. Yeah, I think that's quite affordable to
That's very affordable because publishing couldn't have been that.
Yeah, but I opted to do self-publishing because publishing in Kenya also it's another road that's filled with thorns. It was quite expensive for me, so I opted just to hire an editor. And in fact, the graphics, I did it on my own. The book typesetting.
You're a man of many talents.
Yeah.
I've opened a page called Common Sense. A chapter called Common Sense. Sometimes it's not so common, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you will leave us with all the details about the book. At 500 shillings, I want to order quite a few so that I can also give them away to people who, to help promote it. Because I think it's a fantastic thing you're doing. I'm inspired by someone so young.
Yeah, that will actually go a long way.
Yeah, because it shouldn't be. Unfortunately, we live in a country where sports is unthankable. There's no thank you in sports in Kenya.
Yeah, a couple of times, and now when you actually a referee, now it's more unthankable.
It's even worse.
Yeah, it gets worse. It doesn't get
better
the
players,
at any point.
The coaches, the management. Then we're like, oh, who refereed that game?
Yeah.
People don't even know your names.
Yeah. So officiating itself, it's quite an unthankable job to say. Yeah, but we hope in future things are going to make a turnaround and actually become better, so that you can have more young guys who are coming into officiating. Yeah.
Do you have an officiating role model?
Yeah, I have one, Rasta Rasivenge from South Africa. Yeah, so he himself is refed a final, the 2016 Rio finals.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's quite my guy. I also sent a copy of the book to him just yesterday.
Oh,
so I really
fantastic.
hope in some few days it will be there.
I think it's a great job you're doing, Lorence. I'm inspired. We'll leave it at that. Maybe just to ask you your wish list for the sport of rugby, generally, or for the sport industry as a whole in Kenya. What's your wish list? What would you like to see happen in Kenyan sport?
Yeah, for me, of course, as a training sports professional, it will actually to be that out of your passion, out of your hobby that you're doing, it's going to give you something. in return at the end.
But for the managers, get it right, please. Management, get it right. Because
Yeah.
you look around the world and the richest, wealthiest people in the world are sports people. You
Yeah.
know? The most followed people on social media are sports people. And yet, here in Kenya, it's sort of still a side hustle. You know?
Yeah. I actually in Kenya, yeah, it's quite rare to see sports guys who've excelled so far, and even if they've excelled so far, you'll realize that they're not managed by Kenyan guys. Yeah, so we really need to up on our management of the game, specifically its fans also. Our unions and federations really need to be transparent and take good care when the corporates come in actually, so that you can have more of them coming into the game, and that's how we're going to move the game forward.
This 20-year-old knows more than a lot of people currently running sports in this country. But thank you so much, Lorence. Thanks for coming on Radull Live.
Yeah, many thanks for having me.
I'm glad we had this conversation because it gives me hope. Because there's a certain generation where we'll never expect things to get better in our time, but definitely in your time, if how you think and what you're doing is anything to go by. So keep it up.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be watching. We'll be watching. But thank you guys for watching Radull Live. Lorence Ishuga is just 20 years old, studying physical education. It's a degree course at Kenyatta University. Already published a book, The Whistle, Redefining a Kenyan Referee, and has set his sights on refereeing rugby at the Olympics. And I believe you'll get there.
Yeah,
but
hopefully.
Thank you guys so much for watching Radull Live. After this interview, we will share all the details on where you can buy Lorence's book. Let's support this young guy and let's support the whole sport industry as a whole. So thank you for coming, and we'll see you again next week.